Hi. Okay, so now we are in the next section of your essay, which should be your fourth body paragraph. Now, let me just backtrack really quick. If you are choosing to discuss two types of criticisms, I should have mentioned earlier that you will do two versions of this paragraph. So let's say that you think that most of the story is one way, but part of the story is another way. For the most of your story one, you're going to do that criticism first, and then for the second part of your story, like the other criticism that could be viewed through, you're going to define that criticism after that first one, okay? So I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier, but that's how you would do this. So it may not be your fourth body paragraph, but this is like the next section, okay, if you will, of your essay. The next section of your essay deals with the reason for why you think whatever critic would interpret the story, or I'm sorry, evaluate the story in whichever way you said. Now, you may have multiple reasons. So if you have multiple reasons, you're going to write more than one of these paragraphs, okay? Now, for each reason that you have, you're going to have a claim that in one sentence explains the type of equality or inequality. So for example, if you think that, oops, I keep doing that. If you think that Story of an Hour would be liked by a patriarchal critic because Story of an Hour shows inequality of capability since Louise is unable, she's incapable of getting what she wants unless her husband is removed from the situation, you would say that, for example, what's it, a sophisticated, patriarchal critic would like Story of an Hour, dude, seriously, Story of an Hour by Chopin because it demonstrates inequality of capability. That's all you have to say. You don't have to be like blah, blah, blah because Louise, because you're going to do that in the rest of your paragraph, okay? So you just have to say, a sophisticated patriarchal critic would like Story of an Hour by Chopin because it demonstrates inequality of capability. Beautiful, okay? Get it? Got it? Good. Okay. So again, just the type of inequality. So maybe it's bodily equality or inequality. It could be equality or inequality of capability. I think if you're going to deal with A Rose for Emily, you might be talking about equality or inequality of expectation. Like do people expect different things of a character because of her or his gender, etc. Okay, so those are your big three: bodily equality, capability, and expectations. Yes? I hope so. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is go into evidence, which is where you introduce the quote. Now, this is the first quote from the story. So you'll say, like, so far in Story of an Hour, you know, or whatever, this is what's happened. And like this is what's happening right before the quote. So you give us kind of like a summary and then what happened just before the quote so that it makes sense to the reader. Remember, you're assuming the audience has no idea, like they've never read the story. You are like the master of information. It's your job to provide all that information to your audience. Then you'll give us the quote. Then it'll be like, you know, Chopin or Faulkner page, you know, whatever page number in your springboard book, okay? Now for your warrant, you're going to need to tell us what does this quotation mean and interpret it as a sophisticated critic, unless in your thesis statement you said you're interpreting it through an unsophisticated stance. Then you'll do it the other way, but I think most of you are doing sophisticated. Breathing, okay, so you have to interpret the quotation. Then explain what the opposite critic would say. Then say why your idea is better. Explain how it is inequality of capability, expectation, or bodily inequality, or whatever. And then, you know, if you explain why each critic would feel how they do up here and up here, you don't have to do this down here. Make sure you get all of these ideas. Now, do these have to be each different sentences? No. I think probably it would be more clear if you did that, but like if you have a very clear way of explaining all of these ideas in fewer, then, you know, whatever, having each one in its own sentence, that's fine. Okay? So overall what we did here is you said what kind of inequality or equality your reason demonstrates. You'll give that part from the story that shows that this equality or inequality exists in the story, and then you'll have explained it all in your warrant. Okay? All right, again, if you have more than one reason, you're going to do this type of paragraph for as many reasons. Okay, let me try again. For as many reasons as you have, you'll write that many reason paragraphs, okay? Thank you very much. Stay tuned for the next part of your essay.